Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
The end game. Okay. So, editorial on page number 6. It talks about bad bank proposal of the government. So this bad bank, we will try to understand what is this bad bank and how does it work. Okay, so bad bank is a particular financial entity that is being created so as to separate the non-performing assets that are there with the banks. Okay, and through that separation, the original banks will be able to focus more on credit creation and its routine banking facilities or activities. Okay, so at present the banks are actually facing problem in managing these NPAs, recovering these values of these assets from the market, and much of the resources are being invested in that efforts. Okay, and that's why the government has come up with this proposal of bad bank, which will acquire these non-performing assets from the banks and try to add value to them, try to sell them in the market and acquire, or we can say that recover the values of these assets, and then we can say that repay to the original banks. This is how we have to understand the meaning of bad bank. Let us understand its working now. Try to pay attention here. Suppose, let's say this is bad bank created by the group of banks. Okay, so together this is being created by a group of banks, but here we can say that more than 51% of stakes by government in this bad bank. Okay, so we can say that substantially owned by the government. Then let us understand, suppose this is bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, and they are having different levels or different amounts of non-performing assets in their account books. Okay, now what will happen is these banks will sell these non-performing assets to the bad bank. That is, bad bank is acquiring these non-performing assets from these banks. Now when it is acquiring these assets, it is giving back the 15% valuation of these assets upfront as cash and 85% or remaining amount as securities which are tradable in the market. Okay, so this is how the working is going on. Now what will happen here, the government has come up with backstop facilities. Backstop facility. Now what is this backstop facility given by government of around 30,600 crore rupees for next 5 years? For next 5 years, how it is going to work? Backstop means, you know, something is falling along the slope and we are stopping it. You know, I have seen one, let's say, cartoon made like this, that the bank is falling and the government or this bad bank is stopping it like this, or the backstop facility in this manner. Okay, so this backstop facility will come into picture, that is, the government support will come into picture when the final resolution of the non-performing assets acquired by a bad bank will happen, and suppose the final valuation is less than the earlier valuation, that is, the face value is, we can say that, less than the final resolution, or the face value is, let's say, the difference between face value and the final resolution. If suppose that is negative, there is gap, then what will happen? The government will pay from this amount to this person. That gap will be filled up like this. Now there will be some particular fee on this bad bank is to be paid by to the government in next 5 years. Whenever such, let's say, NPAs are acquired by the bad bank, then this bad bank is supposed to resolve that in less amount of time. Otherwise, that bad bank is supposed to pay particular fee to the government as a penalty. In this manner, there will be efficient resolution of these NPAs by the bad bank. Okay, so at present, the bad bank is supposed to acquire 90,000 crore rupees worth NPAs, and the final aim is of 2 crore rupees NPAs. The final ultimate aim is 2 crore. Okay, sorry, not 2 crore, 2 lakh crore, sorry, rupees worth NPAs. Now you have understood the working of this bad bank. Now critical analysis. When we are saying critical analysis, we need to go into depth while analyzing this. At the surface, we can say that this is a good initiative. Why good initiative? At present, despite of mechanism that are already there like IBC, but not much successful. Why this has been not much successful? There is one problem here. In IBC, we have learned this in ED lectures. So in IBC, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, here the consensus among the banks is required for the final resolution of that NPAs. Okay, and this consensus, that is 66.5 voting percentage is required for the final resolution. This is very difficult, and because of that, when this is eliminated through this bad bank, we are expecting much professional resolution of these NPAs. Okay, this is the critical analysis, we can say the positive aspect. However, there are some problems. How? The international experience says that there is one study of European Union banks, and it says that such kind of asset separation from the banks is not going to be much effective unless and until it is supported by the recapitalization by the government. So bank recapitalization, that is support by the government, budgetary support by the government to the public sector undertaking banks or PSBs. Okay, so this recapitalization will help the banks with the available capital. Okay, the capital availability will increase, and then the credit creation will be further increased. In this manner, this is going to be, let's say, the further recapitalization is required along with such asset separation. So finally, the success will depend on professionalism of bad bank officials, and along with, or we can say that this bad bank is alternatively called as National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited. Okay, at the same time it will be assisted by India Debt Resolution Company Limited. This will be formed by group of companies. This will be formed by a group of, let's say, both public sector banks and private sector banks coming together. They will form this IDRCL, India Debt Resolution Company Limited, and this will help in adding value and final resolution of acquired non-performing assets. Okay, so how these two work professionally so as to efficiently resolve these NPAs? So final success will depend on this. In this manner, you should conclude to any question that has been asked in your answer about the bad banks. Okay, any question regarding bad banks?
Sir, this bad bank will be created with a non-Editorial of
Just a moment. Yes, tell me.
Sir, main bad banks will come the non-recovery loans now.
Yes, non-recoverable loans, or we can say that at present many a times what happens is the companies or the corporate institutions when they fail to repay these loans because of, let's say, when they go bankrupt, we can say that they are not having sufficient profits with them. So what happens is they are not able to repay that, right, and they declare themselves bankrupt, and the bankruptcy resolution is, let's say, going on through different procedures like IBC procedure is there. Now those assets, when they are acquired by the banks, like the banks are eligible to acquire the assets of that company, as these companies are not able to repay the loans, right? When they acquire these assets, they need to be sold in the market so as to earn some profit. We have to manage those assets, right? And banks are not having that professionalism to manage those assets. That's why the asset reconstruction companies, the ARCs were formed, but they have not been, let's say, much efficient and successful, right? So that's why we are separating those assets from the banks now.
So, present one of the same problem is going on in India. Example, agriculture. Agriculture has been, they are not repaid any amounts from that.
No, I'm not getting. Which company you are saying?
Agriculture project, sir.
Which one?
Agriculture.
Agriculture.
Before sanctioning, they didn't show what is the property and they are under control of that one. That is, now they are going to be facing what are the assets having under the control of agriculture. Government is not able to find out the total property, sir. They are not able to tell, and they are not able to identify. Even more than 10 years is going on present. More than 10 years. I think 2011 or 12 it has been shut down, sir, the company. Then present banks are able, before sanctioning the loans, they need to have the rule to, if you are not able to pay the amount, they are ready to hand over the particular property. Is there any chance from the bank sector?
That's why, earlier what used to happen is some of the fraudsters, they used to start the company, they used to borrow from this bank, that bank, 3-4 banks, and these banks individually, they were not aware about each other's loan accounts. And because of that, what happened is these banks were not knowing that the person is not having sufficient, let's say, capital, or we can say that mortgage or something like that, any property for the mortgage. So for that purpose, now recent proposal of account aggregator, do you remember this? We have learned this recently. The government has come up, or RBI has come up with account aggregator framework. We learned this, right? And through this, what will happen? The information about the person or the company will be available with this account aggregators, and the banks, before sanctioning the loans, will gather this information, and we can say that the credit worthiness of the individual and company will be decided now appropriately. Up till now, the credit worthiness was not decided in an objective manner. There was lack of data availability, past data availability. Because of that, many problems happened. Okay, so in future we can expect the situation to improve. Fine. Yes, so straightforward question can be asked, like critically analyze the proposal to establish bad bank to resolve the NPAs with banks. Okay.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.